All right. We are live with a lag once again. How's everybody doing? Got a couple of questions to go through today. Also wanted to put out a video and ask you what you needed this week. I am prepping to leave the country for a business event, but I have some time today to go ahead and get through some more questions. Today we've got questions on a lot of DIY sauna questions that I've taken from the emails and kind of bunched together. Kind of going to be the topic of today. If you guys are here on live, this is recorded live. If not, watch it on the replay. You can always use the comment system if I missed something. But if you have a question, even if it's not related to DIY saunas, go ahead and throw it in the chat, say hello, and I will bounce back and forth. Let's see if I can get my screen to cooperate here. We'll start with the first one. It's about using, let me resize this so I can actually read it. Let's see. Can you turn your shower into an NIR sauna just as easily as using grow tent or enclosure? Yes and no. Hey Chet, how are you? Good to see you. What are you up to today? You doing are you on the job right now? Not good or bad, just curious what you're doing. Can you easily turn your shower into an NIR sauna? Or can you turn your shower into an NIR sauna just as easy as using the tent? Yes and no, but I think the effectiveness, like, I had another lady that asked about this, and she said she went on YouTube and she sees a bunch of people or girls or guys or whoever taking like a metal shelf, sticking it in the bathtub, sitting on a stool, and then pointing the lights at you with the shower curtain. That'll work. It's going to take forever and a day to heat up because you're not really enclosing the space. I've got some insulated foil-backed material downstairs, and we plan to add to the DIY sauna guide at saunacourses.com, which is the course that we made to teach people how to put together a cheap sauna if you don't have any money. We're working on 2 expansions on that. One of them is how to add 2 shower poles to your sauna and then drape insulated foil-backed material over the top of it and turn that into an enclosure so that it actually increases the air temperature in a confined space and gets rid of having a plastic or fabric lined shower curtain next to bulbs that are several hundred degrees, because the VOCs and the off gassing from that is a little bit more than just using a grow tent. But I wouldn't say that it's as easy as using a tent or an enclosure. Definitely not. I think it's easy to put some shelves in there and put a stool in there and sit and rotate around and have all the bulbs and stuff on one side. It's not really my thing. But yeah, you can do it. I don't think it's as easy. Chet said, days off, just relaxing. The cold snap just broke. So I think we're supposed to get 5 or 10 above zero. It sounds like last week when I left Maine, it was 14 below zero the day that I left. I think almost 15. It was chilly. My hands were cold. Wasn't adjusted. Next question. Do you have insulation for these infrared saunas to make them hotter in cold climates? Well, I don't know exactly which infrared saunas you're talking about. If you're talking about wooden ones or portable ones, like the ones behind me, a lot of people add insulation to the roofs. They drape heavy-duty blankets and stuff over the top of them. They put a space heater inside. We'd have to get really specific on how cold you're talking. We had a lady, for example, buy my DIY sauna course. And she, I thought she was trolling me, but basically it was 0 degrees and she wanted to know why it wasn't performing very well. So there are extremes that create exceptions. Doesn't matter what the sauna is, whether it's a big wooden one, small portable tent, zip you up type of deal, or DIY. Chet says we were -30 without wind chill. Alaska was warmer. It's good for you every now and then. Get you some cold therapy. Makes you appreciate the weather when it's really nice, right? What's going on, Dan? Pure Being says, hey, Matt, did you have a look at the Heavenly Heat info? They use the ceramic heaters and say that the carbon heaters are typically sheets of plastic with the black cloth glued onto them. Your thoughts? I don't really have any thoughts, Dan. Like I say, when you text me, talk to the guy. I think he was the owner, he said, of the Heavenly Heat, was asking him a bunch of questions. Didn't really tell him who I was. I don't really tell people who I am when I call to order something, but he was ready to order one of those, but he let me go to talk to a customer or something. Let him know that I review products and things like that, but uh, wasn't the best experience. So I was a little concerned that might not be the best experience for other customers, but doesn't mean that the product isn't good. Ceramic heaters, the carbon heaters, typically sheets of plastic with black cloth glued onto them. Well, I mean, which saunas, almost all of the carbon saunas have some type of covering in the front, whether it's like the clear light where there's a mesh with a slight space between it, or like the radiant, like you have, um, where the really thin cloth actually touches the emitter, compared to like a sunlight and where it's kind of a blend of the both. Um, but I mean, it hasn't been problematic. I'm not really sure what you were looking for there. Are you looking to switch, you mean, from carbon heater saunas to ceramic? I think you might want to ask Orem Miller. I think Orem Miller personally worked with the Heavenly Heat guys. The last time I talked to him, he said he was able to get the electric fields down and the magnetic fields. He might have more intimate details of the actual heaters because I don't have one. I've never used one, so it'd be hard for me to say. Let's see. And if there's a lag, I'm not seeing any updates from the chat. If you're saying something back, so maybe it takes a few seconds. American made become more important in the next few months. I mean, yeah, that's the whole reason that I reached out to him in the first place. I think he's the only one that makes the actual saunas here in the States. I know Sonoray does something in Canada that's similar, but they're kind of they're not very nice typically, but that's just been my experience. Let's see. Do you have any tips for building a DIY heat lamp sauna like Dr. Wilson's? Yeah, depends on what you want to make it for. Like, I think on the Dr. Wilson page, there's a sheet of plywood with some light fixtures that are pretty much the diamond shaped design. I mean, we've kind of done the opposite of that in the DIY sauna course. I don't really know if that's what you're looking for, though. Some folks just want like a little portable box that they can take with them wherever they go, kind of like throw it in the trunk of your car and then sit in front of it. Some of the material or the thinking or the methodology, I think, behind the Dr. Wilson stuff is that you don't really have to sit in an enclosure, or you don't really have to like sweat that much. You could just put one bulb on you and get the therapy. That really isn't in alignment with what I try to do or my core beliefs. Doesn't make it right or wrong. Doesn't mean that there's zero benefit to it. But most of the stuff that I do is aimed at creating a lot more of a heat therapy experience than doing just that. So I'm not sure if my opinion or recommendation would be in alignment with that by itself. Do you think a steam tent or a near an NIR bulb sauna is better to make from scratch? Should have put that on silent. I would say depends on what you want. I mean, you can buy a little boiler, right? And you can make a steam tent pretty much the same way that we make the heat lamp sauna, but there's just going to be a different outcome. I mean, it just depends on what you want. That's hard to say. Need more details. Will a grow tent NIR sauna work for HMD detox? HMD detox? What is that? Oh, heavy metal. I'm sorry. Heavy metal detox. In my opinion, it definitely will. It's a different experience than a standard far infrared sauna. If you have the budget and you have access, always recommend a wooden far infrared sauna. It seems to be the most consistent over a long duration for people doing detox. If you don't have the money, though, I mean, you're going to get a pretty killer sweat doing a heat lamp sauna. There's a little VOCs from the tent. There's a little off gassing from that stuff. But I think the benefits far outweigh the cons of not doing it at all. Richard says, any opinion on adding chromotherapy to infrared saunas? What kind of chromotherapy, Richard? Generally, if you're talking about like the $200 add-on that goes in the roof, it's kind of a waste of time unless you just like colored lights. But if there is a therapeutic, interest there, right? I'm aware. I'm aware of the chromotherapy stuff. My my opinion is that the output of it is relatively low. So a lot of sauna companies try to push it as red light therapy, which it is not. It's not within the therapeutic range. If you're a person that some people claim that there's an emotional benefit or a state change to having a blue environment, or for other people it's a green, or for some people it's a red. If that's you and that resonates with you, absolutely go for it. If there's no specific benefit to that, or belief that you have that's around that, I think it's a waste of time. But that's just my personal opinion. Don't let me dissuade you from getting into it, though. Dan says heavenly heat, where the dry saunas were used for the. You trying to push these heavenly heats on me, Dan? Because they're made in the U.S. I know how you feel about U.S. versus overseas, but the let me know what you're thinking. What are we doing here? Richard says, okay, thanks for your opinion. Yeah, I don't mean to be negative, Richard. It's just a lot of times I know it comes across that way, especially with the chromotherapy stuff. For some people that like it, it's definitely worth the money. It's something that you should do. For me personally, it doesn't do anything. I'm just sitting in a colored light environment. Sometimes if you sauna at night and you have a dark red environment, that could be like more relaxing, or it's kind of like wearing blue blocker glasses, gets rid of the blue light and stuff, keeps everything toned down. Sure, there could be a benefit to that, but is it worth, is it this big therapeutic thing that they try to make it out to be? No. Giggles and Wiggles. Hello. Hi, Matt. Is a shower chair safe for use in Theorisage? I was told to try one. My guess is the plastic. Giggles and Wiggles, as well as CC, and I think the other lady, I can't remember her name, from the live stream the other day. I just did a video maybe 5 minutes ago. It should be uploaded 5 minutes ago. Just for you guys, the portable saunas are behind me. I showed you the plastic chair that I think will work well. You can get a wooden one if you're really worried about that. There's links in the YouTube description that take you to those. We talked about having the curve piece and how that takes the pressure off the legs and everything else. And I think you'd be happy with that. My answer would be yes. I think you'd be fine with it. The Theorisage is not getting to like boiling. It's not 212 degrees. So I don't think there would be any issue there. Let's see. Where was I with the questions? Will grow tent and our sauna work for heavy metal detox? In my opinion, yes, it will. As always, even with things that I create and solutions like the DIY sauna course, if you have the budget and you have the means, obviously I would always prefer a wooden sauna. That's really for people that can't afford or don't have access to anything else, and it's better than no sauna or no heat therapy at all. Giggles and Wiggles, sorry I haven't seen it yet. Oh, no worries. I was just telling you about it. Just made it for you guys just a few minutes ago. Probably doesn't even come through the feed, most likely. Which are the best near infrared bulbs for heat lamp sauna if price is no object? Sauna Space have some that are $100. Yeah, we talked about this. There's some comments about this in the DIY sauna course, and I have a hard time seeing the huge benefit from the Sauna Space bulbs that are $90 over a Therabulb or Rubylux bulb. They seem very similar to me. If you're building the DIY, here's my stance on it. If you're building the DIY sauna and it's the only thing you can do, and price is very important, and you don't have a lot of money to spend, just spend the $10 a piece for the Phillips bulbs. If you have a little bit more money to work with, the Rubylux bulbs and the Therabulbs are a little nicer. They have a little bit more of a red hue to them. The thing that I like about them, if you're using them in a wooden sauna, not necessarily for the DIY, but if you're using them in a different application, the neck is colored all the way down, so you don't get light loss out the back. Some folks say that you get more or a different range of like the actual nanometer frequency from the red light curve is different on those bulbs. Is it a little different? Sure. Is it enough to warrant, an extra $20 a bulb times 4, so an extra $40? If you have no money, probably not. If money's not that big of a deal, if it's an extra $100, of course, get the better ones. You're welcome, Giggles and Wiggles. Where'd you go, Dan? Talk to me about these USA made products. And how come, why aren't we building? I'm getting tired of all this sauna stuff, especially from the overseas and the marketing pitches and the bullshit. Why aren't we building stuff here in the States? Eventually, maybe I'll get aggravated enough to get some folks to do it myself. Just a pain to tool up for that. First year is not funny, or not fun, I should say. Laughing out loud. They also have the same delivery delays. Well, I didn't want to say it, Dan, but the small mom and pop companies like the Sauna Ray, probably the Heavenly Heat, and there's one other. There's a guy that I've seen that builds these by hand. I tried to talk to him about, hey, I could probably get you some customers if you could guarantee like a certain number of saunas per year or per month or something. His are a little bit more ugly. He screws them together on the outside, so there's like 1,000 screws around the perimeter. It doesn't look good, but the inside is really nice. He uses zero glues, planed, wood from timber in the area, blah, blah, blah. Like the perfect thing, right? The issue is he could only service about 5 people a month. He could make a sauna a week. So it's like, how much do they have to pay for that? What happens if he gets behind? Is there going to be any scaling up in the manufacturing? Like all these things, it becomes a nightmare. Like if I were to say, hey, why don't you go buy Pure Being's sauna or go buy Dan's sauna? He makes them from scratch. There's no glues. They're made in the USA, 100% guaranteed. I've seen his little factory, his setup, everything is great, but you can't deliver them. What do we do? So I haven't figured out how to, explore some of these options. And I mean, even just mentioning it in this video, if this video gets 100 views or something this month and everyone sees that and they go ask, what are we doing? I get 10 emails. They say, hey, I want to buy that thing, but you can't. They can't make them fast enough. I don't know. I'm not sure how to navigate that. I don't know what to do. I wouldn't know what to do except for figuring out how to do the manufacturing and setting it up myself. But I've thought about it. I just don't know if that's really for me. Not sure if that's a business that I want to be in. Giggles and Wiggles. I was thinking the other day that you should build and sell. Build and sell? What are you saying? Mr. Tully. How's it going, Mr. Tully? Hi, in your 30-day challenge back in December, you made a call that 60 days of sauna would give me results. You were correct. I am much better. Still a long ways to go. Finally got my sauna. That is awesome. I love to hear that. That's excellent. If you want to share some more details, please do. I will either read it aloud, or if you want to do it anonymously or just to me, go ahead and send me an email, Mr. Tully. I'd love to follow up with you, see where you're at. See if you, let me think about this for a second. I'm pretty sure that you were working up, I think you were trying to increase your heat tolerance and get used to regularly sauning so that you could work with Dan and do a longer detox protocol. But I'm pretty sure that you were overdoing it a little bit. You backed off some, then you started to have better results and you were getting more in tune with what your body was capable of handling. And yeah, I'd love to know the details. If you don't want to talk about it publicly, just shoot me an email. I'd love to chat with you, make sure you're doing good, see if you need anything, just hear about your experience, what worked, what didn't work. I have that kit that you told me about with the charcoal filter to try to get the VOCs and the fresh air supply into the DIY sauna. I'm still playing with it. I'm not sure if it's something that is a good fit for everybody, but we've got a new set of videos that I'm going to release inside the course that show people how to set it up. It's going to blow the budget on the thing because it was like $20 for the fan, the hose that fits the actual thing, but it's pretty cool. You can cycle the oxygen. You can cycle the fresh air from outside the canopy inside, and then it goes through the charcoal filter. So thank you very much for that recommendation. Have been working on it, just a little slow and a little behind too because I haven't been here. Dan says, we've been talking about manufacturing an American made, but it is all talk at the moment. Yeah, me too, Dan. I've been thinking about it, talking about it for a year and a half. And it's mostly just out of frustration. But I'm not sure I'm a person that's equipped to run operations of a manufacturing company. I'd probably have to partner with some other people that specialize in that. I'm more of I'm not sure if that's for me. That's not my background either. So I don't know how fluent I would be in setting something up like that. I know there's a need for it though. There's a huge need for it. So, and I'm a person, I would rather pay, if given the option, I'd pay $1,000 more to have an American-made sauna where I trusted the people. I knew that they had integrity. I knew that the product was superior. It came from here. They weren't just saying, "Oh, it's assembled in the United States," but then they're ordering all the stuff from elsewhere. But yeah, that's been a long debate. I don't know how to. Not sure what the solution is there. Giggles and wiggles. You should build and sail your own sauna. Thought about it. That's what we're kind of talking about. But also thought about going to the Canton Fair in China in April. I think as much as I don't like stuff from overseas, I mean, at the end of the day, you're kind of stuck with it on a large scale, just because the volume of product that they're able to produce far surpasses what a US company in a startup mode first year or two would be able to supply. And I think there has to be some good suppliers over there to where if you went over there and met them in person and told them your vision and your specs and what you think is important in the sauna, and you refine that process, and then you had a dedicated quality control individual, I think you could actually get decent products from China. I think what happens is when a company or any company, any manufacturing company, when an organization starts to get traction and they get bigger and you have a full team involved, you've got people that are focused on margin, people that are focused on growth. You've got a CEO that has to make sure that you have cash flow to run operations. And I think there's a certain point where there's a little bit of a sellout. You have to compromise on some type of quality or one of your core visions for the project or the product in order to maintain a profit margin and all that stuff. And that's usually where things split and kind of go south. A lot of times companies start off with really good intentions and they're awesome, but then as they grow, that changes. So I'm not sure. There's portions of the like business strategy that I think are an integral. Gosh, I'm having a hard time speaking the last couple of days. An integral part of that. Mr. Tully says, I started with the DIY, definitely overdid it, underdid it. Still have bad days with fluid symptoms, chronic headache. I can only do 3 days a week in my real sauna, 25-minute session. Excellent. Well, that's good. That's a huge improvement from where you started. Edwin says, consider open source manufacturing this. Yeah, I just don't have any experience with that stuff, Edwin. Still working my way up to the detoxination program. That's cool. That's great, though. You're making progress, right? Progress, not perfection. Good job. Happy to see that you have improvements. Let's see. Giggles and wiggles. I realize there is a lot to it. It seems you're more knowledgeable than most that deal and sell them. Well, yeah, I mean, I've been in enough saunas. It's pretty easy to evaluate them at this point, and it's very, very easy to know what's important for somebody in one of those. So to design one that basically checks all the boxes is pretty simple. It's building it, distributing it, and delivering it that is not within my wheelhouse. I could build one, but we need a team of people to replicate that. Let's see. DIY canvas tent sources you can recommend. I do not. We were looking for that. In fact, that solves the VOC issue for the DIY sauna course or the DIY sauna tent or any of those like shower solutions or whatever. If you could get an organic material that's insulative, kind of like a sauna space, but a little different. That's just a canvas. It's a little bit too breathable. It would be great if they had Reflectix or something on the inside of that, so it maintained or amplified the heat a little bit. I think that's one of the benefits of the DIY, even though it does introduce a little bit of VOCs. That would be the game changer. If folks could make their own canvas tent and then add some type of heat optimizer to that layered exterior skin, I think that would be the game changer. I think that would solve all the problems for most people. Let's see. How to get rid of smell in saunas. VOC filter that you mentioned. The VOC filter that I mentioned was specifically for the DIY. It's basically like a powered fan that has an exhaust filter. So it's like got a little charcoal filter. But you could use the charcoal sauna bags. You can get them on Amazon. It's basically, I think there's got to be a few in here. But just stick them in there and it'll absorb some of the VOCs, help you out with that. Dan says, "What would you improve or add to a far infrared sauna that isn't currently available by RHS, Clearlight, etc.?" Um, what would you improve or add to a far infrared sauna? Well, especially for some like the one person models, I would offer like a one person corner if possible, so that folks basically like some type of portable solution that people could get in an apartment. There's one version of this that you can see, I think it's on Alibaba somewhere, but it's basically a sauna that slides in and out. So you it's got like a 6 to an 8-inch depth. You mount it up against the wall of your bathroom. You plug it in. You put 2 screws in the top, hit the studs with those, basically with a lag bolt or something, so it'll never fall over. And then it's almost like a towel cabinet. It doesn't take up that much room. And then when you want to use the sauna, it slides out and it forms a one person sauna. I don't know if this is answering your question, like what would I add as far as the heater configuration, the technology, yada yada. I don't know if it's not that any of those are subpar. So I don't think those saunas need to be completely reworked. I think reworking it's not even the size. It's the how do we there's so many people that are in apartments or they have a little space in their master bathroom. They've got, all these little quirky, they only have a 10 amp circuit, blah, blah, blah. I think there's better options than just offering the big wooden guys, the little portable zippies. There's a hole there. And I think there's a huge need to fill it. I just don't know how, but that would be one of the ideas, if that makes sense. Probably not what you were asking though. You mean like, should we change the heaters in the Radiant Hell sauna to only go up to the neck or the shoulders? Because other sauna companies say that it's dangerous to have them go up to the head. Which obviously you can tell by my sarcasm is probably unnecessary. But yeah, just basically how do we reconfigure these and take the optimized portions of them to deliver a better solution for the needs of the majority of folks? And that's one that is currently underserved. So tried to do, well, it's in a completely different room, but I actually ordered a sauna from a lady in Miami, from a company that went out of business, that is basically a wooden version of a portable sauna that is just that. Fits in the bathroom, folds out, yada yada. But it's very easy to break. It's fragile, and I don't think it would be quality long term. And so didn't move forward with that. But trying, always looking. Does the DIY PVC sauna do the same thing as your course? I don't know. I'm pretty sure. If you have a picture of the DIY PVC sauna, the only thing that I don't like is I like to use a metal frame. It's not necessary. The sauna is not super hot. You're not going to melt the poles or anything in a PVC sauna. It's just the idea of it. For the folks that mount the bulbs overhead and either lie down on the floor, do yoga in there, or something like that, I like the peace of mind and the security of knowing that there's a metal frame inside. Doesn't mean that you can't use PVC and build your own, especially if like you literally have no money and stuff. But if you're going to buy something, I'd buy metal for sure. How to build a portable sauna for less than $100? It's hard these days. Most of the prices for the products and all the components or the parts that you need to do a DIY sauna have gone like this. So some days it takes like $300 to buy everything for, a DIY sauna. There is an exception to that. The very first heat lamp sauna that I ever made was a pole, like a 3-foot dowel, the size of a yardstick. I took some heat lamps. I took the clamps off, drilled holes in the dowel, and then basically screwed them to it so they wouldn't fall off. And I took that, used a shoelace, tied it to the shower handle in the bathroom, closed the shower curtain, put a stool inside that was $20, sat on it, rotated like a rotisserie, and it kind of worked. All the heat goes out the top, but if that's pretty much what you could do for $100 that I've done personally. Let's see. Mr. Tully says, I loaned my DIY to a friend. I know a lot of people hitting their 40s and having heart failures. I also used a lot of the parts in my house, clicker extension, used my charcoal filter in my It's cutting you off there, Mr. Tully, but I get what you're saying. That's awesome. Any good feedback from the friend? I'm curious how some people are having not strange results. So some people are doing strange things with the DIY, like putting extra bulbs in there and aiming them down low to get more heat on the legs and the feet and all that kind of stuff. I think that's interesting. That hasn't been my personal experience, but I could also be weird. We sort of know that to be true from past experience. Let's see. In my studio, the charcoal filter is pricey, but if you are in the military, it's a good investment to filter your air, even when not in the sauna. My only complaint, the filter, is that it's noisy. Yeah, definitely introduces a fan, for sure. And you know what? I forgot about that. Amazon also has these little, I don't know where I put them. They have these little heater fans that are like $20, I think. And for people that wanted to amp up the heat in one of those DIY sauna tents, that actually works a little bit. It's not great, but if the floor is cold, like there's a guy in the DIY sauna course right now that is putting the sauna in his basement, and he's saying that the cold from the floor, and this happens in the wooden saunas too. This is why people that you have to be careful with folks that put saunas in unheated basements, because the concrete from the floor leaches the cold through the floor of the sauna, and it doesn't perform that great. That's why some of the saunas that have the heated bench and the what do you call it, the emitter under the tile, generally work better for that application. But what the heck were we talking about? Let's see. Rubylux versus Therabulb, worth the money compared to Phillips NIR. Yeah, it's not necessary. The Phillips works fine. If it's worth a few extra bucks for you, it's not going to break the bank. I like the Rubylux and the Therabulb. They're a little nicer, but the Phillips works well too. It just depends on you and your budget. Will a homemade sauna with a space heater work better than your DIY sauna bulbs sauna? No. Nope, definitely not. If you have a shower, or if you have the exact same grow tent enclosure that's used with the DIY sauna, and you put a space heater in there, just one, the temperature inside after about 30 minutes might be hotter, but it's not going to make you sweat as much as the bulbs. You could use them in combo with each other if you wanted a hotter environment, but I don't think it's really necessary. And I think at some point, folks find that they get good results with that, they upgrade, to a wooden sauna or something like behind me. That would always be my recommendation. I try to keep reiterating that. I definitely don't want folks to think that the DIY stuff is a replacement for a large wooden sauna. It's just completely different class, totally different. It's like apples and oranges. Mr. Tully said the DIY smell or off-gassing did mellow out after a few weeks. Putting it outside for a few days, weathering it helps reduce the VOCs quicker. That has been my experience. I think when you asked me about it, I had it too long. But then after we started working on the other sizes and the wheelchair design, we got this gigantic 8-foot long canopy. And as soon as I opened it, I was like, oh, wow, this is what he's talking about. This one is brand new in the package, been vacuum sealed for a while. Matt, what country are you traveling to? Mexico. Mexico, Chet. Well, how much does a DIY sauna enclosure matter? Is it easy to make out of wood? Good question. Very good question. So, in my opinion, I think it depends. The real answer is, how handy are you? What tools do you have? Do you have woodworking experience? In my opinion, I think anybody can make a wooden sauna enclosure themselves very simply. You don't really need crazy stuff. But for other folks that don't even know how to use a drill and could never use a table saw, a chop saw, things of that nature, we're talking Greek already. So it's not something they'll be able to do. Hard question. I thought about expanding the sauna courses and adding one showing somebody how to build a sauna enclosure out of lumber from a local Home Depot. I think for a lot of people, that'd be a really, really good solution. It would generally cost about $800 for everything that you would need if you're getting top grade lumber. If you didn't care and you're getting stuff with knots in it, you could use some glue, maybe a little bit of plywood to save some money for the large flat surfaces rather than using board on board like shiplap or tongue and groove. You could cut that cost down dramatically. For some folks, they would immediately balk at that idea. for other people. They'd be like, oh wow, that's probably better than something I'm going to buy anyway. The main issue comes when folks want to start putting far infrared panels in there and there's no power supply or electronic system. So you're missing a few things. Everyone wants to recreate a $5,000 sauna for like $500. And the hard part is no thermostat, no timer, no temperature controller or range. You could do, some dial stuff and things like that, but showing people how to do that is probably going to produce inconsistent results in alignment with someone's ability to construct things. So if you're a carpenter, hey, no problem. If you are a teacher and can't hang a set of shelves or something, nothing personal or against any particular type of person, just we all have different skills and abilities. It would be next to impossible. Plus, you would spend more money acquiring the tools needed to build such cabinetry that it would be cheaper and easier just to buy something. So that's been the conundrum for a while. Not sure how to move past that and move forward. Edwin says you could do all the controls with Arduino. How do you say that, Edwin? No Cancun, Chet. This is not a party. This is a work trip. Generally, these annual business events are in Arizona, but due to a COVID year and all the restrictions, it was easier to do an event outside the country. So, Mr. Tully, I saw a quick video of you testing a call-in system. Are you working on a call-in setup? I have it right here, Mr. Tully. Just a couple more roadblocks. The 800 number for the call-in system won't put folks on hold. So it's actually up and running. I don't know if I can show it to you or not. Hang on. There's part of it. If you can see that. Hopefully I didn't hopefully I didn't ruin my thingy-majigger. And it's all tilted. It's pretty much ready to go. Just there's no call queue. So if you don't know what a call queue is, like if you wanted to call in right now and ask questions, I could take your call, but the next person that calls in, I'm not going to know who they are. There's no way to put them on hold. There's a couple things that are lacking. So not sure how to navigate that. I'll try it in the next couple of days. If you guys want to try a live call-in show, it's been kind of a pain in the neck to set it up. It's hard enough to do a live stream in the sauna as it is. So we're adding another method or another side of complexity to that, but I think it'll be really useful and helpful for people. So instead of, there's a lot of limitations to the YouTube chat. Like Dan was asking me about USA saunas. I'd like to talk more about that, but I'd like to hear exactly what his thoughts are. And it's difficult to convey that in a chat. I'd love to hear what your experience, Mr. Tully, has been in more detail as far as, what do you think based on your experience of gaining some improvement with integrating, the heat therapy into your life? What, in your own words, what would you say to others that are in the position that you were in? So how could we become of better service? How could we make it easier for the next guy? How can, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff, which is really, really difficult to convey just typing some words on a page. Let's see. I'm way too detailed sometimes, aren't I? People ask simple questions and I'm just like, maybe we need somebody else here that has a 2x4. Just smack me upside the top of the head when needed. Let's see. Near infrared sauna shower with the shelves looks like it works fine. Why use the tent? I kind of covered this in an earlier question. I'm not sure how this one made it in there. The biggest thing is having a heated environment where you have control over the it's kind of it's sort of self-explanatory, right? When you have a shower curtain, you have a set of shelves. Even if you drape a blanket over the top with an additional shower rod, it's only going to be it's only going to be so good, right? You only have so much control of the heat loss. So in my opinion, the Enclosure is a little better. The other thing that you're gaining when you use an Enclosure is usually it has some type of foil lining in the inside. And that kind of is a heat amplifier. Um, one of the ways that people are able to get a decent sweat in a DIY sauna is because of that. If you take that away and just have canvas or cloth, it's a set of diminishing returns for sure. Edwin says, about 30 years ago, I remember helping a company that had a sauna that needed work. I took it all apart piece by piece, cleaned it up, put it back together. It was tongue and groove. Yeah, most of the steam saunas, like the barrels and stuff like that, are just tongue and groove boards stacked on each other with a tension ring. It wouldn't be much different to build, a wooden planked rectangular sauna in the same manner. Pretty simple. Hard to ship though, real heavy, very expensive to move across the country. Mr. Tully, your live shows will be much easier. Having conversation rather than responding to chat. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the whole idea. I think it'll work well, but just got to iron out the details. It's a real pain in the neck. I'm actually thinking maybe I should just hire somebody to set it up and show me how to use it that does it every day, because it's ridiculous. So, but I think there's a lot of value to add to folks by doing it, though, even though it's a pain. It's probably worthwhile. Can the DIY sauna be used in a closet like Dr. Wilson? Yeah, you can turn a closet into a DIY sauna. I mean, I wouldn't use the walls of the closet necessarily, especially not taking into account what type of paint you have on there and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, it shouldn't be an issue. Stick an Enclosure in there, build something out yourself. It should work fine. Which infrared light bulbs for NIR sauna are best? We've kind of covered this a bunch of times. Rubylux, Therabulb, Phillips, any of those. Rubylux and Therabulb are going to be a little nicer, going to be more expensive. Go with the Phillips if you don't have a lot of dollars. All right. I can't do these anymore. That's enough of these questions. What's going on in the live chat? Anybody else have any commentary before we hop off here? It's going on 40 minutes. I hope everyone is doing wonderful. Let's see. Chet, Edwin, Mr. Tully. I think I responded to all of you guys. What happened to Dan? Dan's gone. How many other people would like a live call-in show? We got the 800 number set up. I should maybe do one of those tomorrow. Let's see. Thanks, Dan. Have a great sauna session. Arduino is an open source electronics platform based on easy to use hardware and software. Okay, got it. I'll have to look it up. I'm not familiar with it. How many of you guys would enjoy a live call-in show where folks can call in and their questions and things are broadcast over the line? I know Mr. Tully's on board with that. Thanks, Mr. Tully. Have a great day. Good to see you. Take it easy, guys. Live is a must. Thanks, Richard. Good to see you. Thank you very much. You guys have any video requests, by the way, Richard? Or anyone else? I've got some time later today. I'm going to get caught up on some more questions, but if there's anything specific, I've mostly been making the question and answer videos at the desk, but I could really take the camera off the tripod and go in some of the saunas. I know people have really specific questions, or they're in a unique situation. There's a sizing guide that's been requested over and over. I'm going to show people how to figure out which sauna size is best for them just by using a dining room table. It's pretty simple, but just needs to be demonstrable. Giggles and Wiggles, I think it would be great. Thanks for all the information. Brand new to saunas. Appreciate any information. Thanks, Chet. Will do. Chris could call screen. That could be pretty funny. We'll have Chet call in and truth provider and get it going. Simon says lots of great content for the US. But what about infrared sauna options for the UK? Love your work. Simon, that's been a huge question lately, and I don't have a good solution to it. Yeah, I understood. I understood what you were saying. One of the barriers to the UK stuff, especially if it's 230 volt, 50 hertz, even if I were able to get a hold of some of those saunas and test them, I don't have an environment that's set up with the correct power and clean power at that in order to do it. most of the time, from what I've seen, you've got eye health, clear light, you've got the evolve stuff. There's a couple other stragglers that people have sent me for sauna options across the pond. One of the things that I can't get over is the price. The price of some of those companies for the exact same thing in the US is way, way less. We're talking like thousands of dollars difference. Maybe it's just the currency difference that is foreign to me. I just have it's like not just evaluating these things, is how do you make sure that um, some of these products are worthwhile or worth the money that people are paying, because you get the exact same thing in the US for way cheaper. So I get that, shipping and delivery and all that stuff is distribution is more expensive across the pond on one hand, but not everything has to come from the States and then go over there. So where are those extra fees and all that stuff coming from? And I could just be naive in that too. Maybe I just don't have an understanding of how things work. But one of these days, I'll next time I take a trip over or something like that. Yeah, I'm aware. Yeah, I agree, Edwin. That definitely changes stuff, but still, it's like wowzers. Hey, Truth Provider, how are you? Your ears burning? We were just talking about you. Chat says let Chris do a live call-in show screening, and then Chet and you are gonna get people prepped. Yeah, sorry, Simon. I don't have any experience with those, and I don't have a facility set up with that type of clean power to even test them if we could get them and all this other stuff. But maybe sometime in the future. And the three options that I know of are your mainstream ones: the clear light, the eye health, etc. If you guys are just popping in, do you have any questions before I hop off? Going on 45 minutes here, just doing a little live stream, talking about DIY saunas, answering folks' questions, saying hello to everyone in the live chat, trying to get caught up on things this week. Unable to get to every single email, but trying to allocate some time to live stream. So if you happen to catch it, have a question, have a video request for this week before I head out, happy to get to it. Well wishes to you also, Truth Provider. Good to see everybody. That's a good question. I think Mr. Tully has already headed out, but if he hasn't, how do you like your new sauna? I don't have a scheduled live tomorrow. Is there a particular time that actually, before I say that and agree to anything, let me look at my calendar. Tomorrow, let's see, I have a lunch meeting. I've got a 9 a.m. Zoom. I could do tomorrow afternoon. That's pretty much all I could do for tomorrow. If there's a need for a live stream. You talking about for the live call in, Mr. Tully? I could have that set up and we could do it. Are you I could commit to a time right now too if there's a specific time you want to try. I can't promise that it's going to go completely well with no technical challenges, but it should be fine. I've only tested it like 30 times. Truth, love it. Coming out of the DIY is amazing, but it stacks up well with the others. With the others, I'm guessing. What do you mean it stacks up well with the others, Mr. Tully? Like other saunas that you tried or were using at a spa or something? Or I think the live chat is faster for you guys than it is for me. No worries on the live. I'll be there when you do it. Okay, that works. Just need to get the gear up and running. Any other questions, guys? Good to see all the familiar faces. Any other video requests? I'm surprised I get tons and tons of emails. I'm not sure if I don't remember that, Mr. Tully. Refresh my memory. You had a Heavenly Heat or you were using one? I vaguely remember you talking about it now, but I can't remember the details for some reason. Were you were going to a practitioner or somewhere and you were paying to use sessions with it? If so, I completely blanked out on that. Please Please correct my memory, because Dan was just asking about that sauna earlier, and none of us have one. If you were using one, I'm curious to hear your thoughts again. Yes, he was getting a Radiant Health Truth Provider, but he would mention that, okay, you're using a Heavenly Heat at your doctor. So tell me, Mr. Tully, Dan was just asking me about that. What's your experience between the Heavenly Heat and the Radiant Health? Because I've never used one of the newer ones. In fact, there was a natural health practitioner that had one of the older ones where the EMF wasn't mitigated. It was kind of high. That was before they worked with Orem Miller. And I was able to go and run a session there, but it felt like any of the other ceramic saunas at the time. Now, the newer ones are a little bit different design, and I know that they've changed some of the heater specs and things like that. Just curious if you could shed some more light on that, because I don't have access to one. So just curious. Truth Provider says, great question. My friend has a Heavenly Heat and he's so with it. What do you mean so, Truth Provider? Give us the nitty gritty. Give me the details. Is it worth getting a hold of these? Dan is asking about it. Obviously, there's some interest. Am I wasting my time? Am I going to get in it? Coming from a Radiant Health and being like, what the hell is this thing? Because I'd rather just not do it if that's the case. Mr. Tully says, I own a Radiant Health. My doctor is probably an older model, has both types of heaters. Okay, cool. And what are your thoughts on using the Radiant versus using the Heavenly Heat at your doctor, Mr. Tully? And Truth Provider, what is your friend's opinion that's so with the Heavenly Heat? And has he used your Radiant, and what does he think? I'm just looking for feedback. Not if you guys don't want to say one's better than the other, that's cool. I see your question, Brian. Trying to decide how I want to answer you. That's a health mate. That's a high-tech health in the middle. And the one on the end is one we don't talk about, because every time I say something about that company, they threaten to sue me and bully me and get customers to take their reviews down and all kinds of bullshit. If you can't figure out which company that is, it is the Influence Sauna by Finmark Designs. So we'll see if I end up setting that sauna on fire for a viral YouTube video or not. But right now, it has to remain in the room so that I can make further videos to substantiate my opinion. But we'll keep it covered up. We'll keep it covered up with portable saunas for now. Let's see. Giggles and Wiggles. Wow. What are you wowing, Giggles and Wiggles? Mr. Tully, regular radiator and infrared on the back. Gets really hot, up to 180. Cool. Truth Fighter says, my friend's so comment was that it was a pain to set up, very heavy. He sweats more in my far infrared radiant health sauna than his traditional heat stone sauna in the Heavenly Heat. Yeah. I'm curious if if you look at the smaller, I think it's like a 1 or 1.5 person Heavenly Heat. If you look at the design on the website, I've looked at it before, but it's been, I don't know, 5 or 6 months. They have one design where there's a heater or two on each side, one behind you, and then I want to say one in front of you, and the doors on the side. Be curious. It's all infrared. Be curious to test one of those compared to some of the others. But I would imagine it's very similar to most of the ceramic saunas. Brian says, are those all low EMF saunas? No. That one is super high. That's an older health mate, not a current model. High Tech Health is pretty low EMF. It's on the certified sauna list. It's not the lowest, but it's pretty good. And the Influence sauna, definitely not. Decent on magnetic, the Influence, but the electric fields are pretty high. VOCs are off the charts. So maybe I'll release the videos for that after we decide how we're going to deal with those fuckers. About the company, very different experience. I get a headache really easily in it, though. It's all wood, no bells and whistles. Understood. Truth Fighter says he has his more cold spots. He says his has more cold spots in my sauna, which is better heat coverage with large carbon panels. Yeah, that's been my experience too. Especially the what do you call it? The ceramic saunas that don't have heaters in the front. They're extremely hot on the back, and then you get this coldness from the front, and it's like a pain in the neck. Brian says, thank you. You're welcome. I do what I can. Not really supposed to say certain stuff right now. according to counsel, until we get done with the bullshit. Brian says, do you think the Radiant Health and Clear Light are still the top two? Yeah, it depends on what you're looking for. I really liked the Radiant Health Elite series and the Clear Light Premier series for the money until the end of January, I think. I'm pretty sure the Clear Light's gone up 30%. So it's like still a great product, but the Radiant's just a lot better deal. It's a way better deal now. So it's hard to say they're the top two. What Brian, what's really important to you about your, like, what is your hierarchy of criteria? Like, is it price? Is it build quality? Is it for some people it's EMF VOC? Is it heater placement? Is it how many folks you can fit in there and still not have to hire an electrician for the circuit? I could give you better recommendation based on, you know, your specific needs if you can throw those in the chat. Mr. Tully, it's a great sauna. Went with Radiant because of the $500 discount. I've not used the speaker system yet, but I would say they are comparable. My wife likes the Radiant better. Yeah, that's the general consensus. Just wanted to see from you guys because I've talked to you a lot more than most folks in a lot of the live chats. Truth Fighter says that's exactly his problem. Super hot on the back, ceramic heaters, but cool on the front. Not much heater emissivity. Yeah. Yep. I wonder if they've fixed that in newer years, but I really don't know. Mr. Tully, is your Radiant Health sauna with an Alpine brand name stereo system? That's mine came with. It's pretty good. Yeah, you know, I got an update email from those guys, and I think they're doing some upgrades. Alpine is a little bit. It didn't used to come with that, so I don't know if they do now or if every single model does or not. But that's kind of nice. Mr. Tully, she likes the look, speakers, lighting, Radiant. Heavenly is not that sexy, and is using more. Yeah, it's definitely a more refined cabinet, that's for sure. Brian says, I'm in the research stage and it seems difficult to tell all of them apart. They all claim the same thing. Oh yeah, our sauna is the best. Every other person sucks. This sauna is shit because of blah, blah, blah. This one has heaters that have less emissivity. Only use our sauna because it has the 9.4 micron wavelength, and that's, you know, the best that you're going to get. Oh, don't buy a competitor sauna because the wood is going to have mold in it or is not antimicrobial or whatever. Oh, you got to buy cedar. No. Poplar is the only one that's low VOC. Yada, 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 yada. This goes on and on and on. We could do this all day. It's not a ShamWow commercial, though. If there's something I can do to help you narrow it down or, you know, no pressure, no, it doesn't matter to me what you end up going with. But one of the biggest things that I always stress to folks is that you don't seem, you haven't mentioned anything about being health challenged, but when I was health challenged and when other people are health challenged and you spend 5 or 6 months researching saunas, one of the things that you can't get back is the time wasted going through all the nonsense. And you could be doing something every day to slowly and surely improve your health. And so my my goal in helping people a lot of the time, my intention is to do whatever I can do to get them to shorten that time span, because that's time that you'll never get back. So if you want the Heavenly Heat sauna, no, I just misread that. Brian, Radiant is great. Heavenly Heat is great. Everything is great, Mr. Tully says. Get a sauna and be sweating. I think I'm gonna write a book. Just be sweating. It's gonna be the title of it. You're navigating the treacherous infrared sauna world in a sea full of sharks. And if you want to know the kicker question, Brian, if you're ever on the phone with a sales agent at any of the sauna companies, it doesn't matter which ones, even some of the ones that I recommend and that I choose and vet and endorse and all that stuff, the trump card is always when you're talking to somebody and they're telling you the benefits and the pros and the cons of different brands. They'll talk to you about competitor brands. They'll talk to you about their brand. You just say this: oh, really? That's awesome. So how long have you been using a sauna? And what has it done for you? And which model, which size do you have in your house? Oh, okay. Which brand did you have before that? And how many other ones have you tried? And when you start coming up with zeros on those answers, you'll it'll be an eye-opening experience. Like there's this guy, who's the guy from the Facebook detox group that makes videos, private Loom videos about me. People send them to me. I don't know. I don't know if he thinks they don't get around or not, but there are specific videos about me. And he basically goes through the certified sauna list and he looks at my criteria and says that it's laughable and like that no one should care how easy a sauna is to put together because you only put it together once. So who cares if it takes an entire day or a crew to get it done? And all these things. And I'm thinking to myself, the only reason somebody would say that is because they've never put together a lot of saunas and they haven't tried one that is treacherous and a pain in the ass. And I don't know. Just I guess everyone has their own opinion, but I always thought that was funny. Truth Provider, thanks, Mr. Tully. Have a 2-person Radiant Health sauna. I think that's the one you bought too. I'm very pleased with it. Get a good sweat. Super comfortable. Like it a lot. Truth Provider says, don't sweat the small stuff. Sweat the big stuff with a Radiant Health sauna in a good way. Mr. Tully says, Heavenly is less luxurious. Matt, your work has really helped me. I was incapacitated when I had to buy a sauna. I would not buy an Amazon sauna. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. That's what keeps me going on the tough days. And that's how I got into this because I was in your shoes. So I know what it's like. Sauna has really helped me change my life for the positive. And that's what forced me to go down the rabbit hole and even do this kind of stuff. When I got started years ago, I didn't even know what a sauna was. So it was only having health challenges that, I started doing this stuff. And the private conversations, the lives that are impacted in a positive way, all that stuff was the motivation to keep going when I first took on this little endeavor. The trying to turn it into some type of supplemental business and all this other stuff is secondary. Got to keep the lights on somehow. Got to figure out how to incorporate health equipment either as a side lifestyle business or a primary business in order to use pre-tax money to pay for all this stuff, because yours truly does not pay himself a large salary. So there's all of that. I get emails all the time. People say that I'm a paid blogger. I'm a shill. I do this, I do that, blah, blah, blah. But they forget that you had to have some type of money in the first place in order to buy this shit. They didn't just give them to me. Although they might now, which is interesting. Always when you don't need it. Let's see. What are you guys saying? I was going to hop off about 10 minutes ago, guys, but didn't want to stop your back and forth in the live chat. I enjoy the commentary. I like your feedback on the various saunas. I like to know your friends' feedback. When you get a sauna, it's not just you, it's your friends and family that use it. Do they like it? Do they not like it? I take all this feedback into consideration moving forward. Let's see. I know exactly how you feel, Mr. Tully. I was in the same way. Thanks to Matt for following us in the right direction. Hey, man, I'm just the messenger. You guys are doing the work. You're the one that make the decision to use the thing every day. I just try to help people get going there. Brian says, I want something that'll last me a long time, something safe, and do not want a sauna, which I will find out is high EMF or toxic materials once assembled. Yeah, Brian, that's the purpose of the certified sauna list. Instead of taking VOC reports, EMF third-party reports, and all this stuff at face value, what I have tried to do the last couple of years is get the saunas in my environment, put one together, go through the paces as a customer, test it, use it for a few months, make sure that it's good, and then keep it long-term, make sure that it has longevity. Any of the saunas on the certified sauna list at the, that are the top recommendations meet or exceed all those criteria. I'm obviously partial to the Radiant Health just because it's the best value. Like for the price that you spend, I haven't found another sauna that beats it. Some of the other ones are great, but they're a lot more expensive. And I question whether or not you get any extra benefits. Now, there's caveats to that, just like anything. If you're looking for a luxurious sauna, or you want a sauna with a Wi-Fi controller, where you can have an app on your cell phone and turn it on when you're at the office and have it ready, when you come home and stuff like that, those aren't gonna, my intention is not to cater to that crowd, or the base recommendations on the certified sauna list are probably not going to meet or exceed those criteria. You would want a luxury sauna, like something like a Sunlight and Impulse, or Clear Light Sanctuary with the Wi-Fi add-on, or something like that. But for those folks, they just have to be aware right up front, you're going to give up low EMF, low VOC. You're going to give up the reliability of a basic control panel. You're going to give up Never having to worry about an LCD pixel going out or something like that on the control screen, or electronics and tech, and all that goes into the decision making of evaluating these things. And let's see. Mr. Tully said, truth, nothing like spending $3,000 when you can barely look at an email from head fog. I totally understand. Been there. Truth Provider says, Mr. Tully, if you haven't already, but buy from Amazon those activated charcoal bags and put them in your sauna. Really helps absorb the toxic air when you're sweating out. Yes, definitely. I try to mention that all the time. I think we talked about it on the 30 for 30. Mr. Tully, brain fog is horrible. Not fun when you're trying to figure out what sauna to buy. I bought 20 of them in my cabinet. I never knew they existed before tuning in. Sweet. Mr. Tully, great investment. Activated charcoal bags. Meg says, what do you do with all your saunas? Would you sell one? Yeah, I usually sell them here and there. Or I give them away. Depends on what it is. The bad ones, I have a hard time selling. This one back here in the corner will probably set on fire live. That'll be $4,000 down the drain, but it'll be well worth it. Shit those people put me through. Can you use the charcoal bags in the Theorisage? Sure. No, it's not a dumb question. Cheryl says, I have a sauna. Can you change out the panels to lower EMF? I wouldn't bother, Cheryl. What kind is it? You're only going to get lower magnetic field panels. You're probably not going to get lower electric field. So worrying about it is probably worse than just using it, enjoying it, being thankful that you have one. That's a video. You know what? That's a video that I have to do. 2021 EMF stance on saunas. I think a lot of people misunderstand when I get all bent out of shape about false advertising. So using a high EMF sauna is not going to kill you, at least this year. We don't know what it'll do if you use it for 20 years, which is why everyone really wants low EMF, so you don't have to worry about it. But the I think a lot of my older material is taken the wrong way. I think I think the benefits of saunas far outweigh the cons, even if it's a high EMF sauna. But when you're spending $5,000 on something, and somebody says that it's low EMF or low VOC, and then you get it in your house, pay the money to have it set up, and you find out that it's not, that's a problem. And it's a problem for everybody involved. Let's see. Researched a bit tonight, but now I wish I got the Radiant you were talking about from yesterday, because I think I had room for that one. Giggles. What did you buy, Giggles? I can't remember. Refresh my memory. You'll probably be fine. Head fog here too, so overwhelming to look at. Truth Fighter says, okay, if you do burn the crappy sauna, please live stream it. Maybe bring it up to main and use it as firewood. Chainsaw it to death. It's actually not that crappy. It's a halfway decent sauna. Just the people are crappy. So nothing you can do about that. Meg says, agreed. I used an expensive jade pod. The place in LA didn't sweat until the last 5 minutes. Felt buzzing in my body when I left. Yeah, that's a different type of infrared delivery, Megs. Thanks, Matt. Mr. Tully, you should do an EMF test with phone streaming in it. I bet my phone is impacting me more than my sauna. You should do an EMF test with a phone streaming in it. I bet my phone is impacting me. Well, it's different stuff. You got, I mean, a phone is usually emitting mostly RF radiation when it connects to the tower. You got some magnetic fields and stuff. The sauna, unless it has Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, it doesn't really have RF emissions in it. Theorisage. Nothing wrong with the Theorisage Giggles and Wiggles. There's one right there. I use it. We use it a lot for the 30 for 30. Why are you having buyer's remorse? Why don't you like it? Works pretty good. Especially for somebody who's not accustomed to sweating or large wooden saunas, like our guest, Christopher. Chris got pretty good sweat in those. Everything was working pretty good. Either you guys have left me or there's a delay in the live chat, but going on a little bit over an hour now. I'm going to go ahead and hop off. Time for lunch. I'm on Eastern time. We'll try to do a live call in tomorrow afternoon. We'll test out the new system. Give you guys 800 number to call in. Make sure the audio is working. Go through some questions. catch everybody up to speed. Truth Provider says, I'm going to sauna tonight. I'm over 30 now. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Good for you, man. Good for you. All right, guys. Well, I can't tell if everybody's gone or if there's just a delay in the live chat. I'm going to go ahead and hop off, go make some lunch. Hope you guys are doing great. And we'll see you in tomorrow's live stream. If you're watching this on replay and you have sauna questions, please let me know in the comments. Taking video requests for the next 2 days before I head out of town. And we'll see you in the next one.